to get approved. So.
That's cool. That's obviously something. There's obviously like a checklist that Scottish startups should be doing if they were going to ever go down that path to make sure. I'm sure there's lots of companies don't even know about it, or they don't bother applying, or whatever it might be. So
you've got to have a very good business plan, and you've got to kind of tick quite a lot of boxes.
Yeah, you've got to just be. So the plan is important, but the knowledge to get the funding and the support is also important as well. Which I think maybe less is where this is where you might actually add a bit of value, Adam. Your experience as an entrepreneur will give you the sensitivity that these things are important.
Yes, and I'm a big fan of being capital efficient. So if you're building a company, I despair at the amount of businesses in our space who go and just waste so much money doing stupid things.
Yeah, of course. There's a lot of people that basically don't know how to spend it. I mean, a lot of first-time founders, right? Like, what are you meant to do with the money? It's not easy.
It's honestly, I think it is a substitute for having proper vision. Is going and raising loads of money and spending loads of money and building a big team is a substitute for having a proper vision.
Yeah. I mean, it was a template that might have worked 5 years or so ago, but it's a different world now today.
Yes. Agreed.
So anyway, folks, we're live, everybody. Welcome to Brainfood Live on Air. We're bringing it to you every Friday, no fail. Today's episode 250. It feels like it's a seminal number, 250 live streams, man. That's crazy. Considering we're doing 40 to 50 per year. This is at least a 5-year running live stream. It's got to be one of the longest running video live streams on recruitment. I don't think there's actually many people still soldiering on doing it. So thank you everyone for supporting. Thank you everyone for being here. I know a lot of you guys are always there on Friday afternoon, no fail, with us. And there's tons of people that are always tune in and commentate on it as well. So great celebration 250. Okay, let's do some sound checks. Just make sure everything here is okay. If you're watching this on Crowdcast, just let me know whether the audio visual is going to be fine. We've actually reverted back to some old stuff, so hopefully the tech is going to work okay. We are also, we should be multicasting this on my LinkedIn, on Jesse Sims's LinkedIn, I see, and also on Adam's LinkedIn. So a number of places where this is going out. If you're watching this in those places and you can hear us okay, just let me know in the comments. Give me an emoji or something. Make sure that that's fine. Oh, great. I've got loads of people watching on my profile there. That's great. Hello, everyone on LinkedIn. I think they can hear us okay. Okay, fantastic. Let's get cracking through. And yeah, first things first, Adam. Let's review the newsletter, I guess. I mean, did you read it last week, and was it interesting, mate?
I did. I want to talk about the poll results. So 36% of people who took part in your poll said that their talent acquisition team was neither leading nor following in terms of their organization's efforts in using generative AI. And we talked a bit about this last week, and I made some points about it around, we're not a tech function, so why should we be leading it and whatever. 36% sound. So that was the biggest number. Biggest response was that. So it's good to know we're kind of like in the middle of the company, I would have said. But I wanted to give you a little bit of additional information related to this subject. So I attended a webinar a couple of days ago, which was the Social Talent and Vonk led webinar about artificial intelligence in TA, and it was excellent. It was really, really great. Johnny Campbell, by the way, he's like Sarah Adway. He literally could be a TV presenter. He's that good at
100%.
it.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, the polls on that event were absolutely, really interesting from the audience. So 70% of people said that AI is currently being used in their organization's recruitment process, either minimally or not at all. Now, that's 70% of the people who were actually attending a webinar about AI, as in they've got some sort of knowledge of what it actually is. And they 70% said either not at all or minimally.
They may not know, though. I mean, we know that a lot of AI usage is undirected and basically individual employees doing it. So
This is in their recruitment. This is in their organization's recruitment process, right? 3% said they thought there would be minimal changes to their role as a result of advancing AI technologies, right? That's 3% more than I would have expected. Anyway, 60% said they thought as a result of the advancing AI technologies, their role would become more strategic and less administrative. So there seems to be widespread acknowledgement of what is happening. And that's great. I think that's the best position that we could be in. People have got a good understanding that, things are going to change, and it's probably going to make their jobs, more impactful, more fun as well.
Only if they make sure that happens. I think you're not magically going to be more strategic just because AI is going to come in and
Sorry, I just opened a drink and it sprayed right up in the air all over my laptop.
There was obviously some sort of ejaculate going on there.
That's
was crazy.
Oh,
I know. I think that's safe for work, folks. I'm pretty certain that was just water. But hey, the value of live streaming, it's always crazy. So Adam, if you need to wipe that down and make sure you don't short circuit, go ahead and do that. But yeah, interesting. At one point I wanted to make, folks, as I was kind of interrupted by that incident, recruiters are not going to get strategic just simply because AI is being implemented into the business. We have got to essentially step into that strategic function. We have to grab that responsibility. It's not simply going to be the case where, suddenly AI is going to make us more efficient, because guess what the business is going to do? It's basically going to just push more jobs for you to fill. So you're not going to be more strategic if you go from 30 recs per year that you need to hire to 300 recs that you need to hire. That's not additional strategy. That's just less people doing that work. You need to basically move upstream. It has to be something that you have a vision for and you understand that we need to be proactive to grab. So anyway, that's my my little bit on the soapbox there. By the way, if anybody's got the link to that Vonken Social Talent webinar, please do share it in whatever chat stream you see it. I'd love to actually have a watch of that. I think those are, I missed it, but definitely I'd be keen to watch Johnny interrogate probably Bill Fisher or whoever it was that was doing it. So yeah, that would be interesting. All right, give us a couple more, mate, before we get on with the rest of it.
Yes. So I didn't get to see the full article because it was behind a paywall on the Bloomberg one, but Michael Blakely has shared one which shows that ChatGPT shows, the headline was about racial bias, but in fact, it looked like there was actually more significant gender bias as well. Not necessarily the way you would expect, but it's bad nonetheless. White men were actually the most clearly negatively impacted by it's reviewing the name of the person whose CV is in there, and there is some evidence that it is negatively biased against certain people. Women actually seem to get a positively impacted compared to men in this. But my main point is, surely people aren't using ChatGPT or any type of generative AI out the box Gen AI to do assessment. It's clearly not proven for that, and it's clearly something that we're nowhere near that.
Of course, people are using it for that. If you have received 1,000, if you obviously don't, it's not a recommendation. But if you've been overloaded with inbox, you got a box of 50 CVs. You're not gonna read all of that. You're gonna just zip it into ChatGPT and say, right, do a rank sort on all of this.
Oh no! Don't do that. Nobody do that. Awful.
Look, I'm not suggesting you do. All I'm saying is inevitable. It happens. And this, by the way, post is really, really interesting. Bloomberg did a wonderful interactive on it. And what was interesting for me was that the bias, so to say, was domain specific. So for instance, they did a test on a HR manager's job or HR specialist job against a bunch of first name candidates of similar kind of resume content. And it found, because obviously HR is dominated by women, I think something like 70-80% is in HR is female dominated, that it turned out that all female coded CVs, female name CVs, were positively ranked compared to all male ones, irrespective of ethnicity. And also the ethnicity, there was different rankings there as well. I think Asian woman was higher, and then it was like white woman, and then it went downhill. And obviously at the bottom, sadly enough, predictably enough, it was male, Black American males, I think, named candidates that were.
I think it was white
in HR.
It was actually white. It was actually white men that was at the bottom. And but regardless, it is really something people shouldn't be doing. And I wonder if, I just wonder if somebody at OpenAI has just gone, yeah, we're just gonna, like, recruiters will use this. We're gonna make absolutely sure that we're addressing diversity by, tweaking the way that they're doing that deliberately, hard coding it. This isn't moving fast enough. Let's make it move faster.
That's basically what happened with the Google image generator of Gemini 1.5, where essentially they just forced diverse kind of imagery, no matter what the input was. If you remember that scandal a couple of weeks ago, for instance, you could do a search or a request for an image of German soldiers in 1945, for instance. Which, if you're going to generate it from historical record, it's obviously going to be generally white males presented in that way. But of course, you presented a Chinese looking sort of woman in Nazi uniform. You had a black guy in like a Wehrmacht uniform. And it was like, okay, how does that even happen? Because that's not trained on what exists in the information. It's obviously been coded in to say, don't generate white males almost in any instance. So anyway, that's a historical thing. They've pulled it down, but I don't think this is the case with Bloomberg. I think it's just been trained on historical data, and because it's domain specific. So if you actually search for, I don't know, construction driver or something, or truck driver, presumably it would code back to white males or something. So anyway, it's worth clicking on, having a play. I think it's interactive, very, very interesting. And it begs a few questions really as to how we handle the future of AI, where it belongs in our recruitment process.
Okay, so businesses must prioritize flexibility and understanding to generate like better inclusion across generations. So there are now, this is, a few people have been talking about this. A lot of people have been talking about this. There are now 5 generations in the workplace. I've been schooled on what a generation is. I thought it was like the difference between child and parent. I thought that was what a generation was, but apparently that's not what a generation is. And a demographic cohort is a generation, or there's something different as a generation. But anyway, I think an understanding of the way that we now have so many generations in the workforce, being cognizant of this is quite important, because we do need inclusivity, but at the same time, I do wonder about how people and organizations are going to go about using this, because like I've got the same values and the same likes and dislikes as some people who are 30 years older than me and 30 years younger than me. So, in reality, everybody is different. And from a precision marketing perspective, yeah, there's a lot we can do around targeting personas, messaging, all that type of thing. That can help with EVP generation. It can help with objection handling for recruiters. There's quite a lot of things we can do with this, but at the same time, it could go wrong.
That's the nature of technology. It could go wrong. I think Adam was referring to this thing by the Adaptivist group. It's a really good post on the numbers of different generational cohorts entering the workforce. I think the next couple of years you'll actually see 5 generational cohorts actually in, say, a same company. So how do you handle that? How do you create a culture which is inclusive? How do you also recognize that there's going to be different cultural values, or the ranking of those values is going to change? I mean, we can't expect as someone who was born in 1970s to have the same values as someone who was born in 2010s. That's natural generational change. So how do we actually create the right culture that includes all of those people? And even further, how do we even design jobs for people who might be aging different, physically in different sort of places in their lives and so forth. So anyway, really good post by the Adaptivist group. Nice bit of work. So make sure you check that out. Oh, by the way, Simon, thank you for sharing Get Applicant AI. I think this is going to be a big deal. And the reason why, because I know the developer of this, the developer of this particular product, which does AI screening, the solo developer who's made a huge fame in the developer world for being sort of a guy that's basically made multiple millions by being a single developer. So he's produced Nomad List, he's produced Remote Serve. He basically jumps on a bandwagon, creates a really quick application, and then makes millions out of it. He's one of the first guys that did the AI sort of avatar generator. And he publishes how much he earns. It's like every month he gets like a couple million into his bank account. Anyway,
and presumably he works from Bali or Costa Rica or something like that.
Correct. He posts where he is. I think he's in Lisbon right now. So yeah, he's living a life. But anyway, that's the future. This is a new dream for a developer, but he is behind this product. Now, the reason why I think this product will move is simply because he's quite famous, and I think developers will use it because he's already got that momentum from all the other apps that he's got. And it is, I think, on surface, a pretty straightforward matching product based on text. So we've seen this before. I think some industry veterans here will look at this and think, what's the new deal here? It's probably not substantively different, but I think it's sometimes all about momentum and adoption. So I wonder whether he's going to be able to make something happen with that. But keep an eye on it. Give it a whirl, see what's what. All right, let's get on with this. We're going to bring on, we're going to talk about developer skills. And actually, Adam, I'd be interested to have a chat with you about this because you're obviously building product at this point in time in your sort of journey. You must have thought about this in terms of, okay, if I'm building product or recruiting software developers going forward, what am I looking for as someone who's going to help me build this technology? Can you give us some insight as to what your thought process is as the founder of a new tech startup and thinking about building tech?
Yeah. So the first thing is it was very important for me this time round to build this company with a technologist, and so I have a co-founder who is a technologist. Because I'm not one, and so I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know, and I don't know what questions to find out what I don't know that I don't know. So I can tell you a bit about his thought process, however, and that is we will work at light speed with as little people as possible developing technology. So we've done in every part of our organization, we're not going to be more than 4 people by the end of this year, and only 2 of them will be in technology, and 2 of them will be non-technology. And so we're hiring 1 person who starts in a couple of weeks' time to work with Mike. But Mike's developed a software product very, very fast, and we make change. Literally, when we're on a call with a customer who's going, it'd be great if it could do that. 10 minutes later, Mike will go, hey, by the way, that thing you were talking about, just click refresh on that, and he's made the change. So, the type of startup business that we're building, we want to be as agile as we possibly can be. And Mike's perspective is, with every extra person you bring into the team, you slow down. And I've seen that happen. Absolutely, I have seen that happen. I saw it with the last business. And I've seen it in bigger tech teams as well. So, unlike your guy that you talked about, who's built, is getting millions in every month from being a solo developer who's created real life things that people need. The reason that he can do that so fast is because he has got such a small team. That's not scalable, of course. It's only scalable to a certain point.
Yeah, it depends on the size of product you're building, I guess, and what the nature of the product is. But I think what you said is the case. Software development is getting faster with less people. And that's because there's actually lots of interesting new support to help the production of code. And we're going to bring on Juan in a minute to talk about that, because let's not forget, folks, the area in which AI is having the greatest impact is actually in software engineering. the people who built or designed the AI in the first place, they're getting the most benefit from it, quote unquote, because it's now able to test their code. It's now able to generate functions without them having to type it out. It's increasingly becoming a different type of job as a software engineer. Instead of someone who's just pounding out the code, it's becoming someone who's more reviewing generated code. And there's some obvious impacts there in terms of product iteration speed and how much, value you're getting from a software engineer. So anyway, let's bring Juan on and we're going to talk about this.
Let me just really quickly tell you one other important thing in this. The one person that we're hiring into software to work with Mike, so we're doubling our team from 1 to 2. Mm-hmm. This person has been a recruiter for 15 years. This person has never worked professionally as a software engineer. However, in his spare time, his evenings and his weekends, he's been going and developing things and learning things and whatever. He sent us a video where he had developed some prototypes for different things that we could include within poetry. And I looked at that. It was a 5-minute video. I looked at it and went, wow. Sent it to Mike. Mike went, wow. We got the guy to tell us how he'd done it, what he was doing, tell us a bit about, and he told Mike all about the way that he developed software. Mike did some just informal kind of test type stuff with him, found that he definitely had the skills. But the most important reason why we weren't actually going to hire a job like that, but why we're bringing him in is because of the proactivity he showed and because of the way that he can pick things up, learn new things really, really fast. And that's why we hired Stephen as well, because Stephen can pick things up and learn new things really, really fast. And that is such an important skill set in a smaller company, the ability to turn your hand to multiple things you've never done before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think increasingly so for any function, because the world is moving so fast outside of your business. You've got to be able to learn your skills. Learning itself is one of the key skills you need to have. Yes. Anyway, we have Juan Herrera here. Good morning, Juan. How are you feeling? How's your throat? Tell me you're feeling better, man. I got this at hand, man. I'm eating this, popping this like an addict. So I hope you're feeling better than me.
I got my Kleenex with me. I'm doing good. On the mend.
Juan and I had a chat yesterday. We were both coughing into the microphone. It was crazy. Anyway, Juan, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you? What it is you do, sir?
Sure. I'm the president of HackerRank. I'm responsible for making all of our customers successful. We get to do it for big and small companies around the planet.
Fantastic stuff. And folks, I'm pretty certain everyone on this call knows HackerRank already. But for the folks who don't know HackerRank, do you want to just give us a quick overview as to what that business is, who it's for, and what it's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to riff off of what Adam just said. I actually was really enjoying the conversation. So Adam made a decision to hire somebody whose profile looked nothing like the profile you would scan. And that's the whole ethos of our company. Our ethos of our company is skills over pedigree. See, pedigree is a data point, but we're the company that can actually measure skills. And so we're the developer skills company. We're in the business of helping companies hire great software developers and also upskill great software developers with a centralized focus on skills. And we've been doing it for about 10 years now. We invented the online take-home assessment for coding. We help the world move away from asking developers how many golf balls in a 747 will fit to here's a real live coding challenge, solve it. And doing that online and unproctored with technology. And it's made a business for us. And we're super excited about it. We do about 2.3 million candidates a year now. We assess a lot more, but we actually process about 2.3 million candidates. We have about 2,500 customers. The very biggest customers, like large banks, large technology companies. I've even got tractor manufacturers, car manufacturers, small companies, big companies. But if you're in the business of hiring talent based on skills over pedigree, we're that partner.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, folks. I mean, let me know. Have you heard of HackerRank? Let me know in the chat. I'm pretty certain most companies have. If you're in tech recruiting, it's one of the top tools, if not the top tool, particularly with the ability to benchmark the test results against, you know, those millions of people who've previously done those tests. Really a fantastic product. But the reason why we're bringing you on, Juan, is not necessarily because of how amazing the product is, but because very recently you guys did a sort of a huge report in terms of what the developers were actually doing and thinking with regards to AI, skills development, what they were looking for, and all the rest of it. And we wanted to get some insight as to what you know now that this report has been done. Folks, if you didn't know before, HackerRank do an annual developer skills survey, which I think if you're a tech recruiter is a must-read tome, and it scrutinizes sort of information not only on platform but also on survey data. So you're getting behavioral data from developers on one side, but also their sentiment data, what they're looking for, what they want, what companies that, you know, what companies attract them most, that type of dialogue. So that's the sort of stuff that we want to talk about today with you, Juan. I've actually got the slide deck here. I wonder whether I should just share it and pull it up and we can talk through. Give me a sec. Actually, whilst I'm fiddling with this one, do you want to give us a bit of background with regards to the report? Like, how many people did you actually touch on this?
Yeah, for sure. We have a community of 24 million developers that go to HackerRank.com. It's a free community for developers to go practice getting ready for a job interview, practice coding, learn skills, get ready for a job interview. It's a site for developers. And so that's a population of people that we surveyed. We also survey the folks that come to our customers to interview for jobs. And so we have a large population of developers. And so the developers are part of the survey. We've actually surveyed the hiring managers that are hiring these developers, the executives that are running these development teams, and our TA partners, the folks that are responsible for filling the pipeline with candidates and bringing them into the hiring funnel. So we had 4 different audiences, and we've actually tracked the results across those 4. So we did this big survey, and then the other thing we did is we looked at the data in our systems, because our systems are full of data. And in fact, I would argue that our systems, because of the volume, we might be a canary in the coal mine for some hiring trends. And so we brought some of that into the developer skills report as well. And really what popped out of it was 6 key findings. And that is really kind of the central thesis of the report there. The first finding, and I think it's kind of, it leans right to the conversation you and Adam were having, is AI is big. And that almost sounds silly to say it that way now, because it's such a no duh. Of course, AI is big. But in the software development world, it's big in how you do your job right now. It went from, I don't use any AI to do my job, to 3/4 of the world's developer population now uses generative AI to help them write code.
Yeah, stop right there, Juan. Compare that, folks, to what Adam mentioned right at the beginning in terms of the numbers of recruiters using AI currently in process or in flow. It's very evident. It's very evident there's a big distance currently between where the software community is and where recruiters are when it comes to using generative AI. And that's not surprising, by the way, because software developers have had generative AI about 12 to 18 months before it went mainstream. GitHub Copilot, I think, came out in 2022 or something. I can't remember, 2021, I believe. So they've already had about a year's worth of play on it. So the developer community itself is about 12 to 18 months ahead of us. And of course, they're natively more technically in tune, embracing this. But no surprise that as many as 76% are already using it for work. Very interesting. Sorry, Juan, I interrupted there. Go ahead.
Can I just quick soundbite?
Yeah.
Mike, my co-founder, he says he uses generative AI for code. He gets the code produced. He then realizes it doesn't quite work for whatever reason. He goes back and says, "This doesn't work. Why doesn't it work?" And then the generative AI says, "Oh yeah, that's because there's a new version. So actually, this is what it should be." And he's thinking, "Why didn't you just give me the new version in the first place?"
We call that prompt engineering. So it's actually a new skill that we're measuring. So you put stuff in Gen AI, you still have to know how to write software because you'll need to be able to spot when it's doing the right thing or the wrong thing. But if you know how to work with the AI tool, the AI co-pilot, so to speak, and continue to iterate on the prompts, it will get faster. In fact, the folks at Git, they actually did a study. They had a group of people build a web server in JavaScript without AI, and another group do it with AI. The group that did it without AI took on average 2 hours and 50 minutes. The group that did it with AI did it in an hour and 15. Like 100% improvement in productivity using the AI co-pilot.
Yeah, and very likely better as well, because it's going to be, I wouldn't say error free, but it's going to be have less errors. It won't have keystroke errors. It won't have sort of various different compatibility issues. I personally think that we're already close to the point where most code is going to be generated, and maybe, you know, a human being would review it at some point. So that even that tells me actually that the job of software engineering is going to change, Juan, if it hasn't already done so. How are developers feeling about this? Like what's their view of AI?
I think it's pretty positive. I think it's just inevitable. It's, you know, it's like it is such a big thing. There's just no excusing it. You don't dismiss it. It is what is happening in the developer world. The whole software development lifecycle, there's a classic diagram for it that has 6 stages of developing software. Every stage of that software development lifecycle will have some type of AI assistant, from design to writing code to testing to maintaining code. The whole software development lifecycle will have an AI co-pilot essentially. And the job of a software developer, they will always need to have the science and engineering, but they will become more of an orchestrator at some point potentially. And what's interesting is, and I'm going to go back to Adam's example, is it's also going to make software development available to a lot more people. So, you know, imagine like when Excel came out in the 80s, people were like, oh, you know, accounting people, they're going to lose all their jobs, but instead just there became more. We think it's going to explode the population of software developers around the world. It blows my mind. There's a tool, a company just released a tool that can take a Figma mock of a website, stick it in the tool, and the Gen AI creates a website. The product, like Adam, you can write code now. If you can build a Figma mock, you can write code.
I'll get rid of Mike.
Yeah. No,
you'll still need Mike to check it, but you can write it though.
I think that's a positive vision of how AI is going to work. It's going to democratize software production, and it should mean there's more people producing software, whether it's a full-time job or not. You could be doing your own thing. You could be set up your own recruitment business, for instance. But instead of having to engage a software development team, you may have the ability to actually create your own software. And there's going to be a lot more of this DIY plus AI augmentation type of software development, which I think is a very promising thing. By the way, thanks for sharing some of these links. People on Crowdcast are sharing some really interesting products. If you do have any interesting products you want to share, go ahead and do that. Because I think why not sort of collect together a bunch of stuff that's interesting. What about the, okay, let's keep going with the slide deck here. So you're looking at what AI tools do developers use for work? So it looks like ChatGPT is right up there ahead of even Copilot. So that seems to me like, I wouldn't say surprising because ChatGPT has been so dominant, but it is a little bit surprising that developers are actually using the same sort of tech that mainstream folks are as well.
Let's not call it all authorized use. So I work with some pretty big banks that would be disappointed to know their developers are using those tools. This is just one of those things where it's just taken the community by storm, and it's just happening organically. There are companies who are embracing it, and if they're using Git, they're embracing it. But these tools are so pervasive that people are just using them in their daily life. What I think is interesting, if you go to the next slide, is it's not just developers. In fact, we found a lot of people in the technical recruiting profession. So there's different types of recruiters, but folks that are doing tech recruiting, a lot of them have a tech background. they also use AI tools. And the other thing to keep in mind, it's not just developers. We actually find a lot of technical executives that hire developers use AI tools as well. And so definitely AI adoption will lean towards people that have a technical inclination. So I do think this cohort is probably, a step ahead of maybe other cohorts. I'm not sure if it's going to matriculate through all the different roles and functions, but the technical roles embrace it at the individual user, at the manager, and at the tech recruiter.
That's really interesting. 71% of executives. I can believe that, because if you're an exec, you're like massively obsessed with saving time and being productive, aren't you? I mean, I'm directing this at you, Adam, particularly. Like, you're obsessed with it because you don't have the time. You have to just be whatever you can do to create more time in your day. It doesn't surprise me that they're leading the way there. But I'm promising 64% recruiters seem to be using these tools as well.
I'll tell you what's interesting is, and I definitely don't want to make this a slideshow, but the one that was before that, what that showed is, if you see those steep spikes, that was people creating tests in our system for AI and large language models. That is that line there is a dramatic spike that happened over the summer of last year. Like, you can see the one on the left is AI, the one on the right is large language models. And these are people, these are tech recruiters inside of HackerRank system. These are hiring managers inside of HackerRank system creating assessments to evaluate candidates around AI and large language models. That's how it spiked for us.
Right. So that tells me that obviously there's huge employer demand for these skills within software engineering. So if you're a software developer right now and you're not getting in, are you even a software engineer if you don't care about AI? It's probably, that's not the case. So very, very interesting. That demand is going to be so high for these types of skills. Let's quickly move on to the next finding here. What does this mean here? Stabilization. Signs of stabilizing market for developer hiring. I'm assuming basically we're talking about the tech layoff era where lots of people were laid off and lots of companies weren't hiring. I mean, what do you mean by this? Are you saying that things have leveled off now, Juan?
Yeah, it feels that it has. And so we saw a sharp dip. We think we might be a proxy for overall hiring demand, particularly for software development. There's a couple things that we do that give us this insight. The first thing we do is we look at how many invitations to take a HackerRank assessment are going out. Every candidate in a developer hiring scenario, if they're using HackerRank, they'll get a take-home assessment. So that volume is a good proxy for people they're trying to hire. And then the other thing that's a good proxy is when people set up a new test in our system, it's usually a proxy for a new job rec. And so we can see new job recs as a proxy with test creations and candidates in the pipeline with our test invites. And what we saw is 2022 flatten out, and the first half of 2023 really flatten out as well. But the second half of 2023, it started to rebound. Now, it didn't go past 2021. 2021 was a banner year for tech hiring. Like, I don't know if we're going to see that level again for a while. We will, but maybe not next year. But it did rebound back to pre-pandemic levels, and that was good. In fact, as we talked to our customers, I think last year that we talked to a lot of talent teams, they just didn't know their hiring plans. It's like hiring plans were uncertain, and now people have more certainty in their hiring plans. And what's interesting is we're seeing also a mix of I think AI is also actually helping that. In the developer world, we're starting to see more demand for developer roles that have AI in them.
Yeah, very interesting. So the story is, I mean, I think we could probably guess the story, but it's wonderful to get this type of validation. We had obviously ridiculous peak 2021. Everyone's just hiring like crazy. Then we had this huge dip, 2022, disastrous year, certainly towards the end of 2022. And what you're saying is that lasted until midpoint 2023, but then suddenly we started to see an increase of test invites and an increase of new test creations, which basically are decent signals for companies hiring for tech again, I guess. I mean, I think it's a pretty good signal. Like, why would you create a HackerRank test? I mean, I guess you might be doing internal testing, I guess, but typically it's going to be more related to acquisition, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's definitely more related to acquisition. We do internal testing, but the biggest volume is new hire.
Cool. All right, let's move on to 3. Gaps exist around upskilling. Developers are saying it's either not offered within their company or isn't time for it. So this is interesting on the sentiment side. So my reading of this is that developers are saying that they're not getting career support, or they're not getting time to build their new skills. They're getting maxed out at, sort of in the job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just about time. I think companies do invest in providing tools and vehicles for upskilling employees, particularly developers. It's just that the developers don't find time for it, and it is a perception gap. If you talk to management, or if you talk to HR, the impression is that they are making time for it, that they are giving the employees time for it, but the developers just don't feel it. And the gap's pretty broad there. And one of the things that we found, and this is really important, developer retention, skilling is a big value perk for them, maybe more so than other roles in the company. Like, skills are super important. And so if you want to keep developers happy and keep them in your company, you got to make time for upskilling.
Yeah, I think everyone who's done any tech hiring would probably confirm that. I mean, the need to keep skills sharp is a very, very key thing for software engineering, particularly as to how fast different technologies move. They want to keep on top of those things. And what's interesting here is as you say, Juan, the gap. Like, it looks like managers are saying, "Yeah, we support people," and actually the people are saying, "No, you don't." So you got to kind of match the rhetoric with reality there. And yeah, that's an attrition risk, clearly. That's something that need to pay attention to if you've got a body of technical people in your business. Very interesting. Okay, we're going to keep going with the insights, but before we do that, folks, we always do this in the middle of every show. Reason why is because we have to come off air at some point, and we don't want Brainfood to ever be a bottleneck for a conversation. We're a conversation starting show, not a conversation stopping show. So now is the time to connect with other people that are watching this particular conversation, and make sure you connect with everyone else there so that you can continue the conversation when we come off air. So grab your LinkedIn URL, stick it in the chat stream if you're watching this on Crowdcast. If you're watching this on any of the LinkedIn channels, whether it's Adam's, mine, Jesse's, or anybody else, use your LinkedIn URL and just copy it into a comment there, and just make sure you add or connect to anybody else who's in that thread. Worst case scenario, you're going to walk away with 50, 60, 70 new connections. It's going to boost your network and improve your crowd intelligence. Okay, great to see that. Let's keep going, Juan.
Yeah, for sure. And this is just this is a general, again, sentiment on, does it work? Does upskilling work? And I think it's just again another little bit of discrepancy between the manager point of view and the individual contributor point of view, where actually the ICs do think upskilling works. I don't know why managers don't feel like upskilling has the same effect that the individuals do. And actually, that might be a question that we just put out to the audience there. Like, why are managers more skeptical about upskilling than the actual individual contributors? I don't know.
I wonder whether that's a general. I wonder whether that's a general management thing. Like, if you're a recruiter, you're managing a TA team. Like, do you think upskilling works, or do you think actually no? I mean, people are very slow at uptaking skills, and maybe it's better to hire fresh people from outside. I don't know. Maybe it's
they want their person getting on with their job, don't they? They don't want them focusing on their career and with aspirations of progression. They want them to get their job done so that they look good.
That may be exactly right. That may be exactly it.
Could be. Yeah. So this one, I don't know if anybody's surprised. I'm maybe we're reaffirming the obvious, but there's definitely skepticism. What is surprising is the next slide, is that most of the roles we interviewed, all the ones on the bar charts going to the left, those are all the roles that said college doesn't really prepare you for a technical career, which is interesting. The one that has positive net sentiment to the right are the recruiters. So the irony is, and it's the data that we surveyed, so it's only as valid as the survey data. But the recruiting team, the TA team, had a more positive view on college, which is interesting. But the people that were the developers themselves and the hiring managers felt like college was not a great place for it. And I think that for us, it supports our thesis of skills over pedigree. So you went to a great college, can you still do the job? Is the question they're asking.
That's
somebody who went to college may be more articulate in an interview than somebody who didn't. Maybe that's part of it, and therefore they'll get through the recruiter interview better. But also likely the hiring managers have said, right, here's the boxes that need ticked. They need to have gone to college because I went to college, and the recruiter's going, well, okay, they're ticking that person's box, so therefore they're ticking mine. But it's surprising.
I think that's it. That last point is exactly right, Adam. It's basically a kind of a delegated bias in the sense that recruiter isn't inherently interested in whether the person has a CS degree. They're just reacting to what they think will get an interview. And obviously the hiring manager has a propensity to say, oh, this person went to MIT or something, or this person did this comp sci thing, and therefore they're good. So I think it's kind of a delegated bias. But yeah, I think the way that developers think about education compared to how recruiters think about it is that's a screenshot right there. That's something that needs to be widely discussed in the tech recruiting community.
Ed's made a really important point there, which is that he's expressing like surprise or shock that TAs the obstacle towards skill-based hiring more than other people. And I think there's a lot of evidence that shows that recruiters really are massive like supporters of the concept of skills-based hiring. So it is interesting that there is a disconnect there.
We're rhetorically supporters of skills-based hiring, but our behaviors might actually be different because we do like prestige brands on CVs. Recruiters scrutinizing things. We're very happy when we say, oh, this person's a software engineer at Google. The reason why they're happy to receive that CV is because they know that's got a higher conversion rate than someone's a software engineer from acme.com.
Straight through the green lane.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got a degree, they worked at Mars, straight through the green lane.
They're going to get the interview. So I think basically we conceptually think skills-based hiring, but we still are very much on credentialism, because credentialism basically gets our candidates, our stock. If you think about it in terms of, can we sell our stock, gets us through that door. That's true for third-party agencies, but I think it's also true for internal hiring as well. Okay, let's move on. Juan, what's this one here? Developer skills are not accurately understood in the majority of organizations. Okay, what does that mean, and why are you confident to make that assessment, Juan?
Yeah, it's interesting, and again, it's another disconnect. If you're to go talk to the hiring teams, and you said, "Hey, do you think you understand the skills of your teams?" They are generally more positive than when you ask the actual developers themselves. They're a lot less skeptical that their leadership understand what they're good at. And so that the concept of a skills inventory, an accurate skills inventory, there's a bit of a disconnect between what the leadership is seeing, the hiring teams are seeing, what the ICs are seeing.
Okay, so this relates to skills-based hiring, folks. So what we're saying is that the leadership believe that they understand what the skills composition is within the organization, but the developers don't share that confidence at all. They don't think that the leaders have that sort of understanding.
I mean, really, where is there a good place for them to showcase their skills in an objective way in an organization? So you've got reviews, their self-reviews, their manager reviews, but where's the objective viewpoint on skills within an organization that they can say this is a sturdy thing to buy into?
Yeah, and I think also sometimes jobs can lock you into the manager might have a narrow view of the person's skill set, and there's other parts of that person's skill has not been activated because the job has not been created or they've not been applied into that world where they could perform. So yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, let's keep going. I think it's the last big finding.
This is our last key finding, and I think this is just going back to again, when we're talking about the downturn. 2022 is kind of a flat hiring year. One of the things that we wanted to point out, and that the survey pointed out here, is that there are roles that were resilient that actually stayed in high demand, which is kind of interesting. So, like if you go to the next one there, back-end developers are the most sought after development role in the world of software development. These are folks, they typically have the broadest skill set. They typically are your core engineering folks that connect the front end to the back end and to all the other systems in your business. They're a precious commodity. I mean, all developers, in my opinion, are a precious commodity, but back-end developers are the role that people hire for most. The next one, which is interesting, is the on the next slide, Hung. The next one that's interesting is when we saw the hiring slowdown happen, there were some roles that were just resilient, and roles that were data engineer, data analysts, cloud security. People didn't stop hiring those. Even when they froze hiring, those were the roles that didn't get frozen. It's like those roles just were mission critical. Hiring freeze, except for those roles, we got to bring those people into the company. And so when you think about your organization, there's probably a tiering of roles that just got to get done. And those are the ones that we saw that had to happen.
Yeah, and that's, I think, true for all types of reorganizations that we're seeing. I think 2024 is going to be a continual year of reorganization. Don't be surprised to see more big layoff announcements, etc. But that doesn't mean that there's like zero hiring within those organizations. They're repositioning and they're moving their chips in different places, and there's certain roles that they'll continue to invest in. And on the technical side, I don't think anybody's particularly surprised at the ranking here in terms of companies are going to need more of these types of roles. This is all AI and security related stuff. So that's going to be a continual growth area, I think, going forward. So yeah, very, very interesting.
These are the cockroaches. Yeah, indestructible.
I think that was meant to be a compliment, guys. Anybody who's a data engineer, don't be offended if you're referred to as a cockroach.
Resiliency.
What we mean is that you're going to be impervious to disaster. You're going to continue to thrive. Fantastic stuff, Juan. This research is amazing. I think Jesse has shared this the link to the download for this report into the chat stream. So that's free to download. Make sure you do that. But I noticed actually this. So I accidentally went on to the next slide, and you say you got 2 new products. So you might as well talk about these, one. What do you mean? So your core product is still doing software testing, right? So that's still.
And the next one's an applicant tracking system. Do it.
Don't
do it. Announce it.
No, Adam, we're not getting into that business. That's not us, man. No, and Hung, we could just stay here. We can stop up all the slides, but let's just stay here. What's funny is I said we're the developer skills company. We're not the cooking skills company. We're not the marketing skills company. Don't call us up if you need to hire salespeople. We don't do that. That's not us. We are only about developers. We go deep with developers. And when companies value that talent category, we're a great partner. And here's what they ask us to do. They say, HackerRank, help me set up a skill strategy for developers. Because we process so much assessments, we know what a skill taxonomy for a developer looks like out of the box. They also ask us to help them showcase their tech brand, because we have customers like, John Deere, and they're competing for talent against Google. And building a self-driving tractor could be cool, but not everybody knows that. And so we help them showcase their tech brand in our community and through a new product that we're launching called HackerRank Engage, which allows you to build coding contests and challenges, not for assessing candidates, but actually giving developers real examples of the stuff they would be working on if they joined the company. See, that's what developers want to do, is they want to see the cool stuff you're going to be working on. And everybody's going to go apply at Google, but the car manufacturer's got to find those same people. So that's a new product we just launched called Engage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Juan, that's amazing, by the way, because it brings people into the organization. You know, it's like that tractor beam or whatever it's called out of Star Trek. You know,
Yeah.
it helps bring them in and give them a real flavor of what would it actually be like a day in a life in this organization. So just excellent, love it.
We did another survey on, and maybe Jesse can find a post. We did another survey on what developers care about, and it's funny, people care about different things, and for them, the work that they do and the opportunity to learn new things is ranks very high. So that's really important there. Optimize the hiring is what we typically do around screening and interviewing, conducting that technical interview. And by the way, that world's changing because AI, by the way, ChatGPT can solve HackerRank assessments. We have customers that were worried about that, and we figured it out. In fact, I won't say it, but maybe they are, maybe they aren't a customer. You can go apply and see if they are. We know what it can solve, and we let customers know if it's solvable. And so we actually put a solvability indicator on all of our assessments. But more than that, we actually use AI ourselves to detect if people are using AI. And by the way, some of our customers don't care. Some of our customers want to know if they use AI well. So when we talk about optimizing the hiring process, we still do the online take-home assessment as our core business, but we use AI to proctor it to make sure that you're getting a real skill signal. And then we bring them into the technical interview where we continue to use AI. Probably the next thing that's really our next new product is something we're calling Skill Up. And so we found that we had a number of customers that were using our assessments to inventory their internal skills and upskill their internal teams. And they were doing it by just turning our product sideways. Well, we built a whole new product for it. And so now a company can take HackerRank and get an objective skills inventory of their employees and then use that to recommend learning pathways for upskilling. Very exciting for us. And then the last one is we're just sprinkling a little bit of AI across everything because that's what the world needs. So that's what we got going on. And this has been fun, guys.
Super exciting, Juan. I mean, these new products sound really interesting. So can people try this already now? Like, what's the story? Is it like is there a free trial, or do you need to pay straight away? What's the story with these tools, man?
Yeah. Well, first off, we launched them March 14th. We actually launched them at an event called HackerRank AI Day. We had Josh Bersin, we had Vinod Khosla, we had a couple other speakers, and we actually did an AI podcast. And we actually used an AI host. We actually created an AI host. We brought back this lady from the 1800s, Ada Lovelace, who was the first software developer out of England. And we brought her back to life, and she hosted this event where we launched these products. And we had Josh Bersin talking about AI. We had Vinod talking about AI. We had Vivek talking about AI. So these products are now in the marketplace, and we're going to talk about it some more. We're actually going to go to London May 23rd, and we're going to do an AI day there as well at the Royal Society. And we think we're going to try to bring Sir Isaac Newton back to life to host it as well.
That would be crazy.
Just so you're aware, I'm going to sound American here, but this is honestly the truth. I am related to Ada Lovelace.
Get out of here.
Yeah, her father, she was the only legitimate child of Lord Byron, the poet and writer, and his mother's name was Catherine Gordon, maybe, and so I don't know what the exact definition of the relationship is, but there is a relationship there.
So hang on, they're not that old, man. I mean, you must have the genealogy. I mean,
no.
So how many?
1800s.
Dude, you should totally track that out. I mean, you made a huge claim.
We have. My dad did it. But he did it. Yeah.
Does anybody else want to see the 23andMe of the Adam Gordon family? I think I do, because that's a massive claim.
Direct descent. I can do it on Ancestry.
The direct descendant of Ada Lovelace, as co-host on Brainfood Live on air. All right, listen, folks. Juan, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for taking. And by the way, Juan, this is like 7 o'clock in the morning for you. So thank you so much for getting up and sharing your the insights from the company and also some of these really exciting new products. The London thing, count me in. I'm looking forward to seeing digital Isaac Newton return. That's going to be amazing. By the way, folks, if you're interested in that particular event. I don't know how we do it, but it's going to be limited seat only, but we'll find a way to get people to apply to that. That sounds like it's something worth attending. And make sure you check out the developer skills report and these new products that are coming out. Juan, wonderful to see you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope the throat's going to go well, sir. Have a good weekend, man.
Thank you. Cheers.
What a great dude. Really good chatting with him. And I really appreciate like senior people just stepping out of their day, you know, sharing their stuff with us. That's crazy. So anyway, really interesting stats though, wasn't it? And fascinating to see where the developer world is going, because like it or not, they're driving the car here in terms of where we're all going. So if they're starting to adopt technology and building technology, and that's spinning as a flywheel, it's going to cascade and affect all of us around that. Very, very interesting stuff indeed. Anyway, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll be back. Change of plan next week because it's Easter Friday, Good Friday, by the way. So a no show on Friday. We're actually moving it to Wednesday. And Adam, you're not going to be his co-host because I've actually got Stan Vasevich to do that. Stan is going to be the co-host for high volume hiring, cheaper, faster, better. We're going to be talking about what is the innovation techniques we can learn from mega scale high volume hiring. Can we apply them to smaller tasks and targets? We've got Becky Lee should be joining us, XEY. We should be getting Thomas Waldman in, who's at Action, Tom, and all the rest of it. A couple of other folks joining as well. Adam, you look sad, man, but you're welcome to join as well, mate. I feel bad now.
No, I'm pretty sure you've only replaced me because I told you I couldn't do it. I'm going on holiday.
That's right. You got a 10-dayer, haven't you?
No, I dumped you. You didn't dump me.
All right. And now I feel better. Where are you going? You got a 10-day holiday somewhere, haven't you?
Dubai.
Dubai, amazing. Enjoy, man. Yeah, that's going to be great. All right, listen, that's it. I'll see you next week, folks. Oh, by the way, Adam, when are you leaving?
Actually, maybe maybe not. Yeah, the 2nd of April, 2nd till the 12th.
Oh, all right, so a big break then. So
I just missed one. I just missed one. Let me just tell you. You know when that fluid all came up in the air. It was my Adway bottle, and it had in it an electrolyte.
Champagne.
No, an electrolyte tablet.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was like halfway full, and it was the first time I'd opened it since I put it in about 2 hours ago.
And building up pressure.
So highly pressurized up here that I didn't get most of the shameless plug. Yeah, that's right.
No. That's right. You do own Adway, don't you? No, but all right, listen, we also need to see the Ancestry.com shit. That is definitely something I'm keen to see. I want to see genealogy, mate.
Well, yes, absolutely. I can do that.
Definitely. Everyone wants to see this. All right, listen, I'll let you go. And by the way, on the poetry thing, I mentioned, on the chit chat we had on Facebook, I do want to get some information from you because I think recruiter enablement is something I'm going to be talking about in some of these events I'm going to. So I think basically your product is going to be something that's relevant for people to know about. So have a think about whether you can pull anything together before you go on holiday.
I've got loads of great things. I'll send something to you in the next one working day.
Yep. Cool. All right. Enjoy the weekend, mate.
Cheers. Bye.